Your move, your move.
What's up guys, it's Rogue here and welcome to another amazing video on the channel. For today we finally got you a updated Domain Monarchs deck profile. This is a deck profile when posted around a year ago now, been quite a while. Got a lot of likes and a lot of requests to be updated as the formats and the ban list changed, and finally I've gotten around to do it, and after vigorous testing I am here with the list for you guys. Make sure if you do enjoy this type of content that you do smash the like button. I hear that it will turn green if you smash it hard enough. Leave a comment down below of where do you think Domain Monarchs are right now in the format. Do you think they'll get new support? I know Konami recently released a new Monarch, which is pretty cool. And of course, subscribe if you are new around here, or if you've seen one of my videos before. I think I've earned that subscribe. So without any further ado, let's get onto the main deck. It is of course 40 cards because we do not want to be bricking, but we are playing Monarch. So if you can't handle a joke, you shouldn't be playing Monarchs. On to the main deck here. Let's start off with our big bad boss monster. We have triple of Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. Now, he is my favorite Monarch. I think he's by far the best one. A lot better, in my opinion, than Aether. And he has a lot cooler artwork too, if you ask me. He's just vibing on his big chair. So what does he do? Well, thankfully, thanks to the Monarch field spell, although he would be 2 tributes, he can be 1, but let's say we don't have that. His main effect is that you can tribute summon this card by tributing 1 tribute summoned monster, which is pretty nice. So if you're already committed to a tribute summon, you no longer need 2 monsters. You can just use that 1 tribute summon to fuel the whole tribute for our boy Erebus. Also, if you guys can count the amount of times I'll say tribute in this video and post it down in the comments, maybe I'll give you guys a reward, because I do have a feeling I'll be saying it quite a lot. So anyway, if this card is tribute summoned, so this is its tribute summon effect, you are able to send 2 Monarch spell trap cards with different names from your hand and or deck, which is 99% of the time where, to the graveyard. And if you do, you can non-targeting shuffle 1 card from your opponent's hand, which has to be random, graveyard or their side onto the field, into the deck. Now that is insane removal and insane for going first, because you can hand rip them for 1 too. So it is incredible. Not only that, it sets up your graveyard, guys. That's the most important thing. Erebus hand rip, send Pantheism of the Monarchs, banish Pantheism, reveal 3 of the same Monarch spell card in your deck, add it to your hand, usually the field spell, and boom, you have the domain lock. You activate it and you lock your opponent out of the extra deck. So that is the whole gimmick with this deck, and Erebus really does allow for that to happen. He also has another effect which doesn't come up too often, but once per turn during either player's main phase, so it is a quick effect. If this card is in your graveyard, you can discard a Monarch spell trap card from your hand straight to the graveyard, target 1 monster in your graveyard with 2,400 or more attack and 1,000 defense, and you add it to your hand. It can do himself, so he can recycle himself, and some of the Monarch spells or traps don't mind being in the graveyard, so it doesn't come up a lot, but when it does, it is pretty handy. For our other big bad boss monster, we have double Aether, the Heavenly Monarch. So pretty much the counterpart to Erebus. What does it do? Well, it shares the same effect, that you can tribute summon this card by tributing 1 tribute summon monster. And on tribute summon, it again sends 2 Monarch spell traps from your hand or deck to the graveyard. But the effect is different. It special summons 1 monster with 2,400 or more attack and 1,000 defense from the deck, but it returns it to the hand during the end phase. Now, why is this important? Well, because Aether can summon Aether, which is why we play 2 and not 3. I think 3 is too bricky. I think playing 1 defeats the purpose of Aether, so you have to play 2. And why are we playing 2? Why do we want 1 in our hand? Well, it synergizes very well with the second effect, which is, during your opponent's main phase, if this card is in your hand, you can banish 1 Monarch spell or trap card from your graveyard, and immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon this card. And this is on a quick effect, which is pretty cool. And the cool thing about Aether is that it combos extremely well with the Monarch Stormforth, and pretty much the whole reason we play Aether is the interaction with Stormforth. Activate Stormforth, then new chain, activate Aether, banish Stormforth, tribute summon using 1 of your opponent's monsters, which is pretty nice. And pretty much the only removal in the Monarch engine that the deck actually has in terms of during your opponent's turn. So you got to time it pretty well, but we do play a bunch of other cards that help not equalize, but slow down, let's say, your opponent's strategy. And let's get to them right now. So we got double of the Vanity's Fiend and one of the Majesty's Fiend. Now, these cards are absolute blowouts, but I don't play them in multiple copies as in 3 and 3 because this is Monarchs. You don't want to be bricking. There are no 1-card combos. Everything requires minimum 2 cards. And when that's the case, you really need to make sure every card in your hand counts. And playing multiple of these high-level monsters that require tributes are going to result in you bricking. I've done the best I can to increase consistency with this deck. Unfortunately, Monarchs, you play a lot of high-level monsters. As you've seen, we're up to 7 now, or 8. And there's going to be a couple more. So, yeah. We've got to make sure that we find the right balance between tribute summons and tribute fodder. So, Vanity's Fiend and Majesty's Fiend, what do they do? Well, I'm sure we've all seen Vanity's Fiend before, but if you haven't, consider yourself lucky. It cannot be special summoned, which is fine, because we'll be tribute summoning it with 1 tribute. Neither player can special summon monsters. That's the whole effect. And usually you'd be like, wow, that's pretty bad, because you want to special summon monsters. Well, not really, to be honest. Once you get him on the board, you can very easily just continue normal summoning and continue doing your Monarch plays through there just via normal summons. You don't need to special summon at all. Majesty's Fiend, what does it do? Well, again, it cannot be special summoned and monster effects cannot be activated. This one hurts you a lot more, but if you manage to end on it, your opponent is essentially skill drained, but also counts the hand and the graveyard. Why am I playing 2 Vanity's Fiend and 1 Majesty's Fiend? Well, thankfully, Majesty's Fiend is searchable. It has 2,400 attack and 1,000 defense. Vanity Fiend, not so much. It has too much defense to be able to be searched. Also, I prefer Vanity's Fiend just for the simple fact that Majesty's Fiend is outed with the Sinful Spoils Black Witch. Why? Well, its effect doesn't activate to special summon. Yes, you can stop the setting, but then they go battle phase and attack over your Majesty's Fiend, and they'll be able to hit over it by 100 attack, which is pretty frustrating. So if you can get the Vanity's Fiend, better, but the Majesty's Fiend is a searchable option if need be. And if you can get both, well, I'm pretty sure you've won the game, apart from like Lightning Storm or something like that. For the little Squires, we have double Yugioh, the Heavenly Squire. Now, there's a lot of people that play 3 and Rota. Again, the Squires in this build aren't the main way of getting tribute fodder. I don't like normal summoning Yugioh as my first play because that shows that I'm pretty desperate. If this gets ashed, if this gets impumped, if this gets veiled, your turn ends, guys. It just flat out ends. You've used a normal summon, you haven't gained an extra normal summon, and you have now to wait a whole turn to get your normal summon back, meaning you're probably dead. So Yugioh I only like to use either as follow-up to once I've used my extenders, or if I have no choice, I have to use Yugioh. I have, hopefully with the cards I'm playing, some sort of protection for it, and it can resolve. So what does Yugioh do? I've spoken a lot about how good the card is or why it's not that good in terms of in an opening play. What does it actually do? Well, on normal or special, you can special summon 1 monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from your deck in defense position except itself. Also, you can special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, which is big whoop, hint hint, Monarchs don't play any cards in the extra deck. At least this version doesn't, so the restriction don't matter. Now, that is a very, very good effect if you can combo it with the Squire, in particular, Eidos. Now, I'm going to get to Eidos in a second, but let's continue explaining Yugioh. Yugioh has another very cool effect that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished Monarch spell or traps and add it to your hand. Now, that's really cool because Pantheism has the ability to banish itself, so you get 3 Pantheisms back to your hand, which is pretty nice. Let's get to Eidos now. Again, the counterpart. So what does Eidos do? Well, on normal or special summon, during the main phase this turn, you can tribute summon 1 monster in addition to your normal summon and set. Bingo! This is how we get our tribute summons in turn 1, apart from the extenders we're playing. This Yugioh gets us the Eidos. Eidos gets her an extra normal summon, and now we have 2 bodies and hopefully a tribute summon monster in hand, which is why the deck always requires 2 cards, which is very frustrating. Also, it has an effect that you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 monster with 800 or 800 attack and 1000 defense in the grave, special summon it to the field in defense position, also extra deck locks you, which is no problem. And this is why it's important that Yugioh is on normal or special, because we can banish Eidos, summon Yugioh, summon another Eidos from deck, and then you have 2 bodies just like that, and you still have your normal summon and your additional normal summon in that situation, which is pretty nice. So that is it for the main Monarch monsters. We are going to get to the extendeds in a bit, but let's first explain the spells and traps. We have triple domain of the Monarchs. Now this is called Domain Monarch deck profile, and the reason for that is we center our entire deck around Domain of the True Monarchs, the field spell. This card is insane. This card has 4 effects, and they are all pretty good, one of them in particular being an absolute blowout. So if while you have no cards in your extra deck and you are the only player that controls a tribute summon monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. That is just flat. That is permanent. As long as you have that tribute summon monster, they have to play with only their main deck, which is absolutely insane against some decks. They just cannot play. Snake Eyes, for example, suffers a lot from this. Branded suffers a lot from this. Pretty much a lot of the meta decks right at the moment suffer a ton from the domain log. Cards, well, decks that don't care about this, Flu, for example, don't care about it. Certain versions of Voiceless Voice don't care about it, although the more modern variations of Voiceless Voice do use the Melodious packages, which use the extra deck a lot too. So very, very insane Floodgate effect. Now it has another effect, which is if a tribute summon monster you control attacks, it gains 800 during the damage calculation only. That is very useful because our main boss monsters cap at 2,800 attack. Well, with this we can finally be over 3k beatsticks because we will actually have 3/6 attack, which is pretty nice. And then once per turn you can reduce the level of one monster with 2,800 attack, 1,000 defense in your hand by 2 until the end of this turn, even after they are summon set and even if this card leaves the field. Now that's a insane effect because that takes your big Monarch boss monsters from 2 tributes to 1 tribute. Also, that effect isn't once per turn. So if you have 2 domains, activate that effect again, reveal the same monster twice, and you can normal summon your big Monarchs. Yes, they won't get their tribute summon effects, but if you just need a big beat stick, that is one way of doing it. Now, another very, very powerful card, we have triple of the Monarch Stormforth. Now, this card is a card that's really, really good going first and going second. Why going first? Because you can set it, and then you have the Aether line to go through. And going second, it is a insane board breaker. So what does it do? On a quick effect, once during this turn, if you would tribute a monster or monsters for a tribute summon, you can tribute one monster your opponent controls as if you controlled it, which is insane. It also has the extra deck lock stipulation, but again, we're not playing an extra deck, so all of this is free. Absolutely insane card, really, really nice. Unfortunately, you can only activate 1 per turn, which is unfortunate, and we are playing 3, so if you do see 2, one of them is going to be dead in your hand, but we can pitch it to the graveyard for different things, and I just think it's an insane card, to be honest with you, and obviously going to be playing it at 3. For the draw power, the best spell card, one of the best spell cards in terms of draw power I have ever seen in the game. This card, I think, single-handedly won, well, not single-handedly, but with the structure deck, won Monarchs their World Championship, and then immediately got limited. So, Pantheism of the Monarchs, what does it do? You send 1 Monarch spell trap card from your hand to the graveyard. That is cost, and sometimes not even that bad, because if you pitch your trap in Monarch's trap card, you want it in the graveyard, you pitch it for cost, and they ash it, that's fine, because you can then, Pantheism is in the grave, and you have the extra effects. But you pitch for cost, draw 2 cards. That isn't once per turn. If you have 3 Pantheisms, you can keep fueling them. You're going to draw 6 cards, which is insane. Also has a second effect, which is arguably even better. You can banish this card from your graveyard, reveal 3 Monarch spell or trap cards from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1 for you to add to your hand, and you shuffle the rest back into your deck. You might think, wow, that's actually pretty bad. I don't even get to add the card I really want. It doesn't mention with different names. You can literally reveal triple Domain, triple Stormforth. You can even reveal triple of the other spells that we're playing, like Tenacity, for example, and your opponent has to pick one. So you basically can always manipulate that and always get the card you want, which is amazing. That is once per turn, but remember that Idea, when leaves the field, is able to grab you back a banished card. Grab back a Pantheism, draw again, why not? So absolutely amazing card. One of the best draw cards I've seen ever printed. Unfortunately, stuck in a deck like Monarchs, or should I say fortunately first, but unfortunate for everyone else. And I think if this card was generic, it would have been banned pretty much instantly on release. So we have triple Tenacity of the Monarchs. What does this do? Well, this is a very good consistency piece, although it's not a 1-card consistency piece like most consistency pieces are in other decks. Remember, this is a always 2-card combo deck, so you have to reveal one monster in your hand with 2,400 and 1,000 defense, or 2,800 attack and 1,000 defense. Add one Monarch spell trap card from your deck to your hand, except Tenacity, and you can only activate one per turn. So yes, it is consistency, but you already need to have a Monarch in the hand, but it is still good enough and obviously searchable through many different means with Pantheism and things like that to add to your hand, and it just allows you to have those 2-card combos a little bit easier. For cards that we don't play at 3, we play 1 Return of the Monarchs. I really like this card. However, I just feel it's a bit slow sometimes. You get the Rota Search once you've Tribute Summoned, which is very annoying sometimes. But if you do find a way to Tribute Summon while still having an extra or an additional normal, you can search for your Majesty's Fiend and then Tribute Summon it immediately, and then you can basically just search your Floodgate, which is pretty nice. But yeah, a one-off because we don't really play it at 3, because I think it's a bit slow and it only gets its effects when you already commit to a Tribute Summon. We have 1 March of the Monarchs. I think this card is great if you have a Vanity or Majesty's Fiend on the field. Essentially, your Tribute Summon monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is amazing. You can't be Lightning Stormed, you can't be a lot of things. You can't be Impermed on the Vanity's Fiend, which happens a lot. Just an insane amount of protection, and paired with the Floodgate, pretty much wins you the game. And for the last Monarch card, we have 1 of the Prime Monarch. I absolutely love this card. I think it's an incredible trap card, and it doesn't play like a trap card. What do I mean? Well, it does have a trap effect, which is once per turn, you can target 2 Monarch spell cards that are in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and draw a card. So if you do want to use it for a trap, you have that recyclability. You can put back stuff, draw cards, and keep just grinding, which is great. But the main effect that you're going to use is if this card is in the graveyard, you can banish 1 other Monarch spell or trap from your grave, and you can special summon this card as a normal monster, level 5 with 1,000 attack and 2,400 defense, and it is not treated as a trap card. Now, this is a very, very good effect because essentially what you can do is you can special summon this from the graveyard and then immediately tribute it off, and then during your opponent's turn, bring it back and you can tribute it off, and during your turn again, you can special summon it and tribute it off. You have you have pretty much a infinite amount, or as much as you can fuel. So as long as you have a spell and trap, a Monarch spell and trap in the grave, you can special summon this card by banishing. So you have an almost infinite amount of tribute summons without committing your normal, which is insane for this deck. So that is it for the Monarch side of the deck. I believe it is 29 cards through there. Now let's get on to the juicy extenders. We play triple of the Cash Tira Fenrir. This card is a boss monster on his own, but has the effect that if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, during the main phase, you can add 1 Cash Tira monster from your deck to your hand, which is very, very nice. A free body that can search itself or a certain extender. So we get 2 bodies off the 1 Fenrir, and also has when this card declares an attack, or if your opponent's monster activates its effect, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and banish it face down. So a boss monster on his own, a free special summon, and the ability to grab you your extender in the Cash Tira Rise Heart. I think Fenrir is an immediate 3-of and should pretty much stay at 3. We play the 1 Cash Tira Rise Heart. Yes, this is arguably a brick, but it is very, very powerful. What does it do? Well, if you control a Cash Tira monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except Xyz. Well, we're not planning on special summoning from the extra deck at all, so the Xyz lock is absolutely fine. Give me that free body in the Rise Heart. Also has an effect that if you kind of want to bait and negate, sometimes you can go for it, and sometimes your opponent will fall for it, is during your main phase, if this card was normal special summoned this turn, you can banish your Cash Tira card from your deck, banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, and this card becomes level 7, which isn't really that relevant because we don't play any level 7 Xyz. So the ability that Fenrir gives you of being able to search this essentially free body is absolutely insane and really, really cool. You can do Fenrir, summon this, and then immediately tribute into a Vanity's Fiend. Fenrir and Vanity's Fiend is pretty much GG's. There's not much your opponent can do unless they open like Imperm and then they have to just contest a Fenrir. But really, really cool card, and I absolutely love it. For our other extender here, we have triple Antrim Fright. I believe that's how you say the card's name. This is a custom card for Monarchs. It's basically just a Monarch card. Well, it's a pendulum card, so you're like, how is that a Monarch card? Let me explain. So, if you have no cards in your extra deck except Ancient Fright, you can destroy this card, then draw one card. I know it's weirded. It's worded weirdly in terms of except Ancient Fright, but you can use this if you have no cards in your extra deck for a free draw. And, well, what's its other effect is you can special summon this card from your extra deck by having no cards in your extra deck straight to the field. And that is free fodder. And you might be thinking, yo, it's going to place itself back when it leaves the field, switching off domain. Nope, its second effect is it is banished when it leaves the field. So it gives you a card, well, draws you a card, gives you a free body, and banishes itself when it leaves the field so that it doesn't go back in the extra deck. Is absolutely beautiful. 3 of, don't care what anyone says. Amazing. For more draw power, this used to be the card that, a more grindy card. I completely forgot the name now, which is very, very annoying. I'll get back to you in that. But we've gone 3 for 3. We've taken those 3 out and put in triple pot of desires, because sometimes you just need to draw, and we do play a lot of 3-ofs, as you can see. Yes, that we do play 1-offs, but if you have to activate Pop Desire straight up, your hand's pretty bad, and you really need those 2 draws anyway. So I don't care what people say. It's not a -7, as people say. It is a +1, and in a deck like this, you really do need those pluses, and you need to be drawing hard. And for the last card, we play triple of the Book of Moon. You may think this is a weird inclusion, but let me explain. Your deck can lose to a lot of single hand traps, for example, on Idea. Book of Moon is essentially Call by the Grave in these scenarios for a very few select amount of hand traps. So, you normal summon your Idea, you activate its effect. They chain Imperm, they chain Veiler, they chain anything else that targets that to negate its effects. You can chain Book of Moon, flip it face down, and the effect will still resolve. Now, that is, in my opinion, very, very good versatility in a deck that could use this. If you don't want to play the Book of Moons and you just want to continue drawing cards, triple Upstart Goblin never hurt anybody, play a 37 card deck, gain the extra consistency. It really was a toss-up between triple Upstart or triple Book of Moon, but I'm like, what good is all these draws if I'm going to lose to a single hand trap on my only play? I need to have these Book of Moons. I need to have some sort of way to protect myself from hand traps, and I think the Book of Moon does that very, very well. So that is the main deck. It is 40 cards. There is, of course, no extra deck to show, so I will treat you guys and go immediately to the side deck. Okay, this is where we have a little bit of spice, but not too much. So let's go to the side deck. We're starting off with double Alpha, the Master of Beasts. I really like this card because it's a free body, but the main reason you do this is you can special summon it. You can bounce it back to bounce a opponent's monster, and then you can special summon it again, since the special summon isn't once per turn, and it is essentially a 3k beta or a free body or free tribute fodder at that point. I think this card is very cool. You could test out Pancratops instead. I'm flip-flopping between both of them. I'm making sure that I can test them out both. They both have their ups and downs. Pancratops is obviously a very good card, but if you use its effect to pop a card, you don't have the free body. This is able to bounce a card and then special summon itself again, and then you have the free body or just the 3k to go push for game. So I'm just sticking to the Alpha for now. I'm only playing 2 due to side deck space. We're playing triple of the Dark Ruler no more. As you've probably seen, we don't play a single hand trap, which isn't great because we can't afford to play hand traps. Literally, Monarch is a deck that you live by the draw and die by the draw. You need to make sure your draws are very good. And yes, hand traps can stop your opponent, but most of the time they're going to be stopping you because you're not going to be drawing Monarchs or tribute fodder, and you're going to be drawing hand traps and you're going to be bricking. So that's why you play cards like Dark Ruler no more. Equalize the board state. Just simply say, hey, relax. We're going to play at my pace, Dark Ruler, and I'm going to proceed now to break the board with my Monarchs and establish a lock. For the spice, this was evenly matched, but I'm testing out with the spice. We got the triple enemy controller. Why enemy controller? Well, if you're going second and you don't like the Book of Moons, you can immediately swap out 3 Book of Moons for the 3 enemy controller. It allows you to dodge targeted negation while stealing or breaking your opponent's board, which is pretty nice. So I really like the enemy controller. For example, you do any action, like in Idea, they're going to do a targeted negation with an Imperm or with a monster effect. You chain Econ, tribute the Idea, take one of their monsters, resolve the effect, and now you have their monster to use for its effects and also for tribute fodder, which is beautiful. Really love the econ. For power spells, we have the double triple tactics thrust. Going second, this card is amazing. Helps you board break, helps you grab those power one-offs that are going to help equalize the board state and help us sort of attempt to break the board with Monarchs. We have the double lightning storm. Back row can be scary, so we do need to respect it, and I am respecting it with the lightning storm. Lightning storm has the effect that if they don't play back row, well, it's basically a Raigeki instead, so it's pretty cool. For the one-up power spells, we play the 1 triple tactics talent, 2 ban cards, essentially, and 1 card that is limited, all in 1 card. We have the Pot of Greed, we have the Forceful Sentry, and we have the Change of Heart effect. So sometimes you want to draw cards, sometimes you want to take an opponent's monster non-targeting, so you contribute it off, or sometimes you just want to look at their hand because you have a hand that's good enough, remove any hand traps, and push to break the board. Speaking of Change of Heart, we obviously play the 1 Change of Heart cards, absolutely cracked. You can make a debate to play this in the main. I just don't like cards that are only good going second or only good going first. I want to play cards that are good in both scenarios where possible, especially for flex spots like Change of Heart would be for one of the Book of Moons. Book of Moon is good going first or second. First, you can set it and you have disruption. Second, you can also dodge hand traps with Book of Moon, and then going second, usually side it out, or you can just trade 1 for 1 with negation as well, which is pretty cool with the book. Change of Heart is insane going second, but going first, you can't do anything with it. So I have it in the side. Same philosophy for the Harpy's Feather Duster. Amazing going second, absolutely insane. You can go 3, 4 for 1. Really, really good trades, but going first, you're not going to be doing too much. So that is the side deck. That is the main deck. I hope you guys really did enjoy this Monarch deck profile, and I will be posting a combo guide for the Monarch deck profile. Don't you worry, it should be the next video after this, or if not, the video after that. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know how many times I said tribute summon in this video. I'm going to say a couple more just for those people that didn't make it to the end. Tribute summon, tribute summon, tribute summon. So there you go, you got 3 more there. And if you can guess correctly the amount of times I said the word tribute summon in this video, maybe you'll be entered into a super secret prize. So heads up on that, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the Monarch deck profile. Let me know how it goes for you. I'll see you all in the next video.
It's time! Let's go!